Welcome to Breaking Solo, how solopreneurs break barriers, build brands, and embrace the future of business.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am very excited to have Gabriel Hesson on the podcast today. Welcome, Gabriel. Can you share with the audience a little bit about you and your business?
Yeah, absolutely, Donna. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be here. I'm a financial coach. That's my solopreneur business. So I work with individuals who usually are fairly high earning, oftentimes well into the six figures, but who also happen to be extremely deeply in debt. Often to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we're not talking about mortgages there, just lots of consumer debt and stuff like that. So my focus is helping those people get out from underneath that mountain of debt and start to actually build some real wealth. And it can be quite a journey, but it's been a great experience, and we've had a lot of success. So that's the work that I do.
Awesome. That is really good that you can do that kind of work with people and help them.
It feels great. I've done work in the past where I kind of was working on behalf of others, and then I've done work where I kind of was not, where it was more corporate or more, focused on profit, and we can get into that more, I'm sure, later. But it feels really good to do something that can tangibly help people, and I can sort of see that progress month to month and see their lives getting better in front of my eyes. It feels great to me. I know it feels great to them too, but it's really, really satisfying and gratifying to be able to help people in that.
That's incredible. Thank you for doing that. So tell me, did you always know this was going to be your path, or did you pivot from something else?
Yeah, not at all. I have always kind of had an interest in personal finance. I haven't always been great with money myself. I've made a lot of the same mistakes that my clients have, and so that helps me empathize a bit and certainly never judge, because I've done plenty of dumb things with money. I used to be a teacher, and I used to be a marketer. I got my MBA from UCLA, and then I went to work as a marketer at a Fortune 500 company, and ended up taking time off to be a stay-at-home dad. My wife at the time was working full-time and traveling a lot, and we could kind of make it work financially, and our kids were really young, and we kind of felt like they were being raised by daycare. So I stayed at home for a few started and then as they got older and started going to school, we didn't feel that they needed me quite as much, and so I started thinking more again about, okay, how am I going to contribute financially to our family? And my wife actually suggested, she was like, have you ever thought of doing corporate training or facilitation or anything like that? Because you've been a teacher and you love presenting. I did a lot of that in my marketing role. And she said, I feel like it would be a good fit. So I ended up reaching out to an organization and kind of auditioning, so to speak, for them. And she was right. I was good at it and I really liked it. And so that's what I started doing. That was kind of the beginning of my solopreneur journey. And COVID kind of exploded that, because all of a sudden everybody wanted people who could do it virtually. And I had gotten trained to facilitate virtually not long before that. So all of a sudden, I just had some more work than I could really handle. And that's kind of what's kept me in the solopreneur business for a while. And then one day I was reading another financial, personal finance book, and I read this phrase financial coach. And I thought, financial coach, is that a thing? And I started learning that, yeah, it's a thing. And I decided to get certified. And then I hemmed and hawed about, should I, try to get clients? And finally, one day I was just like, let's just do it. Let's just see what happens. And I got my first client, and I haven't looked back. I mean, it just instantaneously felt like, this is the thing. This is what you should be doing.
Awesome, Gabe. Congratulations.
Thank
Now,
you. It's
not
nice.
everybody, gets that, understands their why,
Yeah.
and, gets to pursue it then.
Yeah. It took me a while to find it, but it feels like the right place.
Good, 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 good. I started coaching in 2002, and there's literally nothing more fulfilling than helping somebody else achieve their goals.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just is, it's empowering.
Yeah. It's extremely gratifying. You nailed it.
Yeah. So tell me, what's been your biggest challenge on your solopreneur journey, and how did you overcome it, if you overcame it?
Right. Um, I mean, I think for me, it was kind of trying to figure out what to focus on. I had my work as a facilitator, as a trainer, doing some executive coaching. Um, I also obtained a couple of other certifications, so I had some other frameworks that I could teach and both do that either, kind of one-on-one with another solopreneur or with, with companies. And I just felt fragmented on what should I be focusing on. And it kind of took me a while to get that clarity. I knew I loved the financial coaching, but as I mentioned, I'm dealing with clients who are very, very deep in debt. And so asking them for a huge sum for my coaching fees doesn't feel right. Right. I'm trying to help them get out of debt and save money and budget effectively. And so I kind of questioned, can I really do this as my only thing? I was doing it as a side project and I loved it. And so that was kind of a big challenge for me was feeling like where should I be focused? Should I even be doing this financial coaching thing? Because it takes a lot of time and energy and it's not paying me very much. So that was a big question. I think the clarity honestly came from doing some of that other stuff, comparing how I felt about it and realizing I don't love that. I love the financial coaching and asking myself and others, how can I make this work financially for me too? And so doing a little bit of soul searching and ideating, but also talking to other coaches who I think have struggled with similar things, right? How do I can do one-to-one, but how might I scale my business? And so being a part of a community of other coaches who are able to kind of give me some ideas has really helped me figure out what other products, so to speak, can I offer as a financial coach that allow me to kind of coach not one-to-one, but one-to-many. So the financial side of it starts to make a little more sense, and I can continue doing my one-on-one coaching, but having some other avenues that's really helped me kind of make the transition and decide this is what I want to be focused on, and this is where I want to spend my time and energy.
Awesome. So do you want to share any of the products that you do offer now that's more of a one-to-many?
Yes, sure. So, I have my one-to-one coaching and I cap it at around 10 clients because that's really the maximum that I feel like I can serve and be at my very best for them. But I've begun to charge a premium for that. And so not as many people want that either because of the pricing. So it works for certain clients, and I can deliver that kind of one-to-one experience. But then I also offer a lower tier price point for group coaching. And I keep the groups intentionally small, so no more than 5 clients in a group. But that allows me to still serve a good number of people and give them enough individualized attention. And some people honestly prefer the group experience. They like kind of that sense of like, we're all in this together. And so that's not something I was expecting at first. I was thinking people would see it as a downgraded experience, and the people who are in it really don't. They see it as a benefit. And so I think for them, they feel like they're getting the bargain because they get this additional kind of group that supports them and that they can support, and they all sort of feel like they're going through similar stuff. So that's been good. And then the third thing that I've started to develop are workshops. And I kind of have a signature one that I call Collections 101. And it's really where I focus on helping people who are dealing with collectors, which is a miserable experience. And many of my clients go through it. On can they negotiate those debts. Sometimes people don't even know they can negotiate them. They don't know what their rights are. They don't know how to negotiate them. So I provide scripts and give them lots of tips. And I've acquired a lot of that knowledge through interviewing collections professionals. So they give me like insider tips and views on here's what it looks like on our end. Here are some good strategies. Here are the times of month to call us. Here's when you don't want to call. So all of those kind of little nuanced details I've kind of packaged into a 90-minute workshop. And that's been really successful at helping people deal with something that for the most of them has been a very unpleasant experience with dodging collector calls and all that kind of stuff that we all sort of think of as the stereotypical interaction with collections agents. it's not that far from the truth, sadly, but people leave that workshop feeling much more prepared to handle that aspect of their financial life.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I want the audience, solopreneurs, listen to how Gabe was able to change his business by sharing with others and getting feedback from them. And there's no right or wrong way to run your business. You get to choose.
Yeah. Yeah, that honestly was a huge game changer for me of really saying this is what I want to be doing, and then having some other people go, well, let's figure out how to make that possible for you. And so that process of back and forth conversation and iteration and ideation really has kind of landed me in a place where I'm feeling very very solid, like this is okay, this is the right way to run this business for me, and it's still going to serve a lot of people and serve them well, but at the same time make it something I can kind of focus all of my attention on, because it's financially taking care of what I need it to take care of.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you have a unique niche that you focus on?
Yeah, most financial coaches, and I'm part of a network of financial coaches, and I kind of see their outward facing communication, and I'd say the vast majority of them don't really try to attack a niche. They kind of cast a pretty broad net. I'm a financial coach. I can help you with retirement planning or saving for a house, or starting a family, or putting my kids through college, or whatever. And I've taken a very different approach, and I just say I help people get out from under mountains of debt. That's what I do. That's my focus. And for the most part, I end up working with people who they tend to be either as a family or as individuals, they tend to make six figures and well above that. So they're making good money, but they're still deep in debt. They're often living paycheck to paycheck. And it's kind of for many of them, like a shameful secret. I don't see it that way, but I understand why they see it that way. But those are the folks that I just kept finding coming to me, and the more I worked with them, the more I realized I can really solve that problem for them. And honestly, it makes it easier when people reach out to me. They've kind of pre-qualified themselves because my marketing materials are so clear that this is who I serve. So when they come to me, they're coming because they make good money, they're living paycheck to paycheck, and they have a ton of debt. That's everybody who reaches out to me. They don't all end up working with me for various reasons, but at the end of the day, I don't have to worry about is this client the right kind of client. They're pretty much always the kind of client I would like to have.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Where do you do most of your marketing?
So I do, I have my website, of course. My website has a PDF there. So sometimes people will download that, and then they receive some emails from me, and they'll decide that they might want to engage in a free coaching session. So that's kind of my entry is offering up a free coaching session. So for 45 minutes, I'll sit down with people, and they'll kind of send me some basic financial information through an intake form. So I have a rough idea of their overall financial picture. We don't get into a ton of detail, but I try to really give them value no matter what, whether they decide to work with me or not. I want them leaving that feeling like, oh, this wasn't just a sales job. This was somebody who actually tried to help me. Did he solve all of my problems in 45 minutes? No, but he actually gave me some good insight and some good advice. So I want them to feel like they got a glimpse into what it would be like to work with me and leave no matter what, feeling good about the call. And then I just post a lot on Facebook and Instagram, and again, trying to not make them salesy, just make them value added posts so that people who are reading them can get some use out of the post, and B, also just get to know me slightly, through those two mediums. So that's it mainly. The other area is I have I mentioned I'm a part of a coaching network. So the Dave Ramsey organization has a coaching network, and they allow you to sort of promote your services on their website for a fee. And so that's somewhere that I've gained a good number of clients as well. So those are the main channels right now. I've thought about advertising on Facebook or Google Ads and things like that. I haven't taken that step yet. Might be the right next thing to do. And I'm also beginning just some local outreach. Most of my clients are spread out all over the country at the moment, and we do it via Zoom. But I've been considering just doing some more local outreach and potentially accessing clients that are, that are here in my neck of the woods. I live in Long Beach, California, so it's a densely populated area, and I'm sure there are lots of people who are in a similar situation to the clients I already serve. So that's something I need to consider too.
Awesome. I facilitated Dave Ramsey's, I can't think of what it was called.
Was it
For
Financial Peace University?
Yes,
Yeah,
for a group of real estate agents,
cool.
and walk them through that. I'd forgotten about that. It's been a long time. It's been
Yeah,
almost 20 years since I did it, but
yeah.
it was a good program.
One of the coaches I've come to really admire in my financial coaching network, he teaches Financial Peace University twice a week. So he runs two separate cohorts pretty much every week of the year. And that's where all of his leads come from. So he runs that, and then he just tells people, hey, if you'd like, I offer a free coaching session. And he's like, I've got more people than I can handle that way. So that's another thing I probably should consider, and I've yet to take that step. But yeah, it's a great program. As even whether or not you are gaining coaching clients, I think it's a good thing to be offering in my world, certainly. So that's cool that you had that experience.
Yeah, it was very cool. And only one of the realtors, but one of them took it very seriously, and he reached back out to me when he paid off his house.
Wow, that's cool.
They were out of debt.
That's really cool.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
it's amazing what people can do in any aspect of their life, but in their financial life, once they make up their mind and they realize they really have to get this solved, and they put forth the effort and the consistency, it's mind-boggling how successful people can be.
yeah. Awesome. So, are there any books, courses, mentors that have greatly impacted your success?
Yes, a lot. I'm an avid reader. The finance book that I think informs my coaching the most is Dave Ramsey's. His Total Money Makeover is the one that kind of walks through his baby steps. And honestly, when I picked it up, I kind of picked it up because it's one of those books that everybody talks about, but I had always thought it was more simple than I needed, because I had been into personal finance. And so I just thought, this is probably not going to add a lot of value. And I picked it up and read it, and it is simple. And that's the beauty of it, is that if you just take these very simple ideas, you can create a lot of financial stability and ultimately wealth for yourself. And it doesn't have to be complicated. And so many people overthink it, and we think we're doing smart things with money when in fact they're counterproductive. So that book does a great job of explaining all of that. So I definitely use that as a framework very much in my coaching. On a more personal level with my business, probably a lot of people say this, but Donald Miller's books have been great. StoryBrand has been really helpful. His Marketing Made Simple book, his Business Made Simple book. I mean, I went to business school, but you read Business Made Simple and you go, this is more what a business school education should be.
Right.
So that's been super helpful. And then kind of on a personal level, I guess, I really love reading books on Stoic philosophy. There's an author named Ryan Holiday who has, I don't know, maybe written 9 or 10 books on the subject these days. And I love those. And then I think the one that kind of hit my heart the most recently was a book called The Second Mountain by David Brooks. And the title is a reference to a metaphor or an image he writes about right at the beginning of the book. And he basically says that, many of us climb this first mountain in our lives, and that mountain is like money and career and wealth. And that's kind of what we think we're chasing, and we're trying to get to the pinnacle of that. And he says sometimes people don't have to climb all the way up before they notice the other mountain, but sometimes they have to get all the way to the top before they notice. But if you get to the top, you see that there's a second mountain behind the first one. And that second mountain is about serving others, and it's about doing good in the world and leaving behind a legacy. And it's not about us anymore and status and money and all that sort of stuff. It's about what value do we contribute to the world. And it's a really beautiful image, I think. And that I read that at the time that I was kind of wrestling with, do I continue pursuing this financial coaching or not? And it gave me a lot of clarity that that was the way I wanted to go, because I wasn't feeling like I was leaving behind that kind of impact in my corporate training and facilitation work. I do to some extent. I still like it. I still enjoy it. I'm still doing it, but it doesn't. I don't think have the same kind of weight and impact to it that the financial coaching does. So that book, The Second Mountain, really gave me a lot of clarity there.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. So, do you have daily habits or routines that help you to stay focused and productive?
Yes, I'm a huge creature of habit, and I've found that has made me successful at a lot of things that I've tried. My day kind of starts around 5:30 a.m. and I spend the first hour kind of just trying to get my head right for the day. I stretch a little bit, have a big glass of water, get a cup of coffee ready, and then I sit down and read for about 30 to 45 minutes, usually something that I'm finding inspirational or that I'm, learning something important or helpful. And then I pray, I meditate. And then about that time, my kids are finally getting up and getting ready for school. And so we kind of do breakfast and all that, and I get them out the door. And then the first 2 hours of my day, I really, really try earnestly to keep them free of meetings, keep it free of email, keep it free of any of my social media activity that I'm going to be doing for my business, and just focus on pushing one project forward. And so it's kind of deep work time. So I have that blocked out on my calendar. New clients can't book over it. So it's protected, so that I make sure that every day I feel like, all right, I push the business forward in some way, shape, or form. Because most of the time, I don't feel like email or the social media stuff are really, or even meetings are really real work to me. It's that focused 2 hours time where I feel like, okay, I can check the box in my mental scorekeeping app and say, I did real work today. So that's kind of what I try to do with the first 3 or so hours of my day. And if I get that done, then everything else feels like gravy.
Awesome. That's good. Those are good habits to have.
Yeah, it really, it feels like it starts my day off right. I used to be one of those people, you wake up and I would just open my phone and I'd start reading emails and sometimes start feeling anxious and I got to respond to this email or whatever. I've never been really into social media, but even a little bit of it, I would find myself sucked into, and it really took up time, but also I found just really impacted my mental state for the day and made it much harder for me to focus and concentrate and bring out my best. And so I found that by protecting those few hours and really trying to set myself up for success to start the day off, it's made a huge difference. Exercise is the other thing I'd throw in there. I'm sure lots of your solopreneurs talk about that, but I try to get some kind of exercise in every day, and it's such a lifter of my mood. And as solopreneurs, sometimes we don't have a cheerleading squad sitting there next to us, and so it can be easy to feel down or lonely or worried that what we're doing isn't the right stuff to be working on or focused on. And I just find that exercise really alleviates a lot of that stress and uncertainty for me personally.
That's good. That's very good. Okay, so what's one piece of advice that you'd give someone that's just starting their solopreneur journey?
Yes. So this one comes from another book. This is oh my goodness, I'm forgetting his last name. It'll come to me maybe. His first name is Jeb, Jeb, and I can remember his company is called Sales Gravy, and he has a book that is called, I think it's just called Prospecting. But the major point of it is that you've got to keep your pipeline full, and the temptation is that you'll get a lot of work all of a sudden and you focus on that and then you stop filling the pipeline. And so you kind of get this roller coaster effect, right? It's like a feast or famine effect. And he says the pipeline is life. Always, always, always be filling the pipeline. As busy as you are, make sure you're spending the time to do that, to generate new leads. And I think he's exactly right. And I've certainly kind of seen those ebbs and flows in that roller coaster pattern. So it's something I've been really trying to focus on over the last, 6 months or so to even that out, and just to remember that that prospecting and filling the pipeline has to be a part of my daily activities. It's something else I kind of want to mentally check the box on and go, okay, I did some of that today. I did some of that today, every day, every day, every day. So if you're just starting out, I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind, is just to devote some of your daily activity always to filling that pipeline as best you can, getting some new prospects in there.
You know, that's how my digital agency launched. My coaching clients would start marketing them. I focus on sales and marketing. They would start doing their marketing, getting business,
Yep.
and then they would stop doing the marketing. So they were on that roller coaster. And I started saying, well, just let me do that for you. And before I knew it, I'd launched a full service digital agency.
Brilliant. There you go. You're like, "Look, I can do that. You focus on the delivering. I'll focus on bringing people."
Right.
Yeah, love
Right.
that. Yeah, love it.
Okay. I'm going to ask you one more, which is, if you could go back and do one thing differently in your business, what would it be?
I was talking to a fellow coach about this yesterday, actually. Um, I mentioned that crisis of faith period where I was kind of like, I don't know if I can make this financial coaching thing work from a financial standpoint. And so for about 6 months, I stopped filling that pipeline because I was kind of convinced that it wasn't really where I wasn't going to be able to make it financially viable, is kind of where I was feeling. And so I stopped filling that particular pipeline. And I wish I hadn't done that. I think it would have put pressure on me to, as I continued gaining more clients over that 6 months where I stopped, I think it would have put pressure on me to figure out, okay, how I've got more clients than I can handle on a one-on-one basis. How can I serve these people still? Or maybe just would have gotten my systems more efficient, more quickly, so I could serve those people. So I've been looking back with regret, wishing that I had 6 months of leads and the potential clients that would have come along with that. But it's gone and done. But that's a regret that I'm experiencing right now. So yeah, that's been on my mind.
I'm sorry that you're having to deal with that, but it's behind you now. So
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm back in client acquisition mode on the financial coaching. So that's been good.
awesome. So are there any projects or launches that you have coming up soon?
No, nothing that's coming up soon. I have in the back of my mind, it's kind of tied into the clients that I help, which is focused around helping people avoid the trap of student loan debt. And so I'm thinking of directing it towards parents who have kids who are kind of in those last year or two of high school and are trying to figure out, how are we going to pay for this? Because honestly, so many of my clients, the biggest chunk of the debt that they have are student loan debts. Almost always that's the case. And so being able to kind of address that pain for their kids would be really, really impactful, I think. So I'm working on developing a workshop specifically around all of the different ways that you can pay for college without having to borrow money for student loans. So that's in progress, but no launch on the horizon just yet for that.
So tell the audience how they can connect with you and learn more about what you do.
Yeah, I think the best place is just to check out my website. I think people, when they go there, they feel like, okay, I can see myself here or not, right? But either way, it's a quick way to figure out if I'm the right person for you and if you've got the kind of problem that I help solve. And that's at lifeafterdebts with an S.com, lifeafterdebts.com. I'm also on Facebook and have a business page there, as well as on LinkedIn, both my personal and my business page. But those are the best ways to reach out. And if you go to the website, you can book a consultation with me. You can download my I have a little guide there that has 15 ways for people to kind of trim areas of their budget without really sacrificing much on a lifestyle basis. So it's a quick and easy way that people can free up a little bit of cash flow each month that they can then direct towards debt payoff or savings or whatever it is that they want to use that for.
Awesome. Well, Gabe, thank you so much for joining us today. I've
Donna,
really
it's my
enjoyed our
pleasure.
conversation.
Thank you for having me. Really, really had a great time. And I think this podcast is going to help a lot of people. I'm excited I could be a part of it.
Thank you.